Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to Abbey House, where we are holding the Vale of Whitehorse District Council's Cabinet meeting today on the 29th of November 2024. Thank you all for coming. It's nice to have members of the public. And may I just go on straight away to item number 1, shares announcements, of which I don't think there are any. No. Apologies for absence. Now I know there are a few of these. So
yes, so we've received apologies for absence this morning from Councillor Andrew Crawford, Sue Call, Helen Pickles, and I believe Lucy Evans will be joining us online later on.
Thank you. Going on to the minutes, has everybody had a chance to look through the minutes? Yeah. And are we all comfortable that that's an accurate record of the last meeting?
There's 2 sets, Chair. So I've got one set from the 27th of September and one from the 18th.
Thank you. So that's the 27th and the 18th. Whoever was here at both of those meetings? Yeah. Thank you. So we're content with those. And do we need a proposer and seconder for this?
I think we had a proposer and a seconder in Councillor Coleman and Bolsham there. So if everybody's happy to agree, we can agree.
Agreed. So going straight on to declarations of interest. Does anybody have any disclosable pecuniary interest or otherwise? No. Thank you. Item number 5, urgent business. Now I did have an update for you based on the POP meeting earlier in the week. I just wanted to report on the outcome of the future Oxfordshire Partnership meeting on Tuesday afternoon. We held it in County Hall, and at the meeting the leaders decided to effectively disband the POP, or the future Oxford Partnership, slimming it down to a format which is made up of elected leaders of each of the member councils. And this is reducing the effective membership, those that are inputting into the meeting, because they had previously been members of universities and Oxford and various other organisations sitting around the table. We are reviewing the terms of reference and hope to get a new set in development that will come to the January meeting for POP for a review. We're very conscious that there still needs to be a lot of work to be done on what was proposed in the paper that came to the Future Oxfordshire Partnership meeting. And I would like to see a much more focused approach. We'll be discussing that, and I know that officers will be working on that in the lead up to the January meeting. So, and obviously we will have a chance for those terms of reference of whatever comes into the future for the POP that's deemed as standard will go through scrutiny, and that's good news that we will get a chance to have a say into whatever comes from that. That's my update from POP. Is there anything else that needs to be mentioned?
No, it's fine. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. So now item number 6, public participation, and I know that there is members of the public here from Grove, and there's somebody joining us online as well. So if I leave that to you to introduce.
So our first public speaker addressing Cabinet today is Chris McCarthy from Grove Parish Council, and you will have 3 minutes to address the Cabinet.
Just from here, or
sorry, if you want to take a seat at the table.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll keep it brief because information has gone out to all the councillors. We've spoken at full council. I've spoken at the scrutiny committee as well, and we've put a series of questions in which we've had answers to. And Grove Parish Council notes the responses given to our earlier comments, but do not necessarily accept them. The comment about the need for a 3G pitch, which has been requested by both the football and rugby club, as well as the parish council, has been well documented in the 2012 Northolt report, the 2015 Vale playing field strategy, and the 2022 strategic leisure report. The 2024 Stuart Todd report suggests one is not needed until closer to 2041. Grove has space for a 3G pitch. We are waiting for Persimmon to submit a planning application for more football pitches as set out in the outline planning permission. There is, according to Appendix 4 of the paper presented to the Scrutiny Committee, 4.8 million available in Section 106 monies for Grove, more than enough for such a pitch. Officers state that the cost would be in excess of 1 million, whilst our research with potential suppliers suggests 800,000. Officers say in their response to our questions, the council is investigating options at Grove Airfield to consider if, how this can be delivered on this site. Should this be considered as possible from a planning perspective, we will engage with the developer to explore the opportunity further. This is the first we have heard about it. Why the secrecy? Why have we not been told or consulted about that? Our clubs want one now, not in 5 years' time. Surely it is not difficult to liaise with Persimmons and the parish council and the clubs to get this facility built as a matter of urgency. And obviously, with a little bit of rain we've had over the weekend, again, the clubs in Grove that have got training this week, our parish clerk has told them they can't use the training grounds because they're not fit to be walked on, let alone people running around. Therefore, the clubs are having to pay to go outside of the area to 3G pitches in Crendon, Oxford and other places because there is no other facility. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and taking the time to speak to us today, and your comments will be noted as they have done previously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we have a representative on the line.
Yes, we have Lorna Barrett from Botley and North Hinksey Parish Council as well, who's joining us online.
Thank you. Lorna? Lorna is a Barrett.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just trying to join again.
Hello. Sorry, something went wrong then. Thanks very much. Thanks for letting me speak. Yes, so I'm here as chair of Botley North Hinksey Parish Council, and I want to speak in relation to the leisure strategy that's on the agenda today. I spoke at Scrutiny a few weeks ago to request that the strategy document was updated to reflect the reality of the current situation and to request support for threatened facilities and the replacement of lost facilities. So I want to thank the committee for the updates they've made since that meeting and following suggestions made by Councillor Debbie Hallett. Whilst it's good to see these items have been added or updated, I want to draw the Cabinet's attention today to two specific areas that need to be highlighted and corrected. Firstly, the closure of Oxford Brook swimming pool at Harcourt Hill, which happened in July, was not previously mentioned, but is now acknowledged with an asterisk and a footnote. But this is inadequate, really, as it's imperative that the closure of that swimming pool that serves the area must be acknowledged in the section on swimming pool provision, section 12.2. So I would urge you to commit to protect and enhance the facilities of swimming pools in that part of the report. As it is, the pool is still listed in the table on page 43 as available for community use when it is clearly not. So on behalf of the parish and the surrounding areas, I feel compelled just to speak again on this, to reiterate what I said at the scrutiny and to reinforce the message that my fellow councillors made in presenting a petition to you last month, a petition to save the swimming pool back by nearly 2,000 locals. The loss of the swimming pool is a huge loss for this area. 11 primary schools have had to find alternative pools. Local people have lost their swim school. The GP practice can no longer use it for referrals, and we've lost that well-being and social support that's used by groups of all ages in and beyond the community. So local people feel really let down by this. They feel disempowered and at the mercy of decisions made by Brookes University and the landowners of the site. We also fear the loss of the rest of the sports facilities next September when Brookes vacate teaching operations at Harcourt Hill. So we'd like the Vale to state clearly in this strategy that they will provide facilities in Botley by re-enabling the swimming pool and working with stakeholders to protect the ongoing provision of those wider sports facilities. And just to note that it must be remembered that District Council have not had to fund any of these recreation facilities so far because they've been fortunate in having another provider who's made those private facilities open to the community. My second point is in relation to the pavilion at Louis Memorial Playing Fields in desperate need of replacement, where planning permission was given last year. This is now acknowledged on page 45 in the report, thank you. There's a note the pavilion is supported and a footnote to the application. But Vale's also earmarked 250,000 in SIL money as a contribution to the construction carried forward each year in the capital programme. That's mentioned on page 430 in the pack, but I think that's an appendix. So my request to you is that that 250,000 is included in a footnote on page 45 in that main strategy document. Being able to reference an adopted strategy would help us apply for grants. For coming into my time, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Thank you, and your point will be noted when we come to that item. Thank you for joining us. So we are going from public participation on to item number 7, recommendations and updates from other committees. Now we have a few from, is it scrutiny?
Yes, so we've got a recommendation from scrutiny in relation to the leisure facilities and playing pitch strategy, and also as referenced by Lorna Barrett, the petition from council was referred to Kevin.
Thank you. And is that all we've got?
That's the recommendation.
Thank you.
This subject.
Thank you very much. So, having that noted, we will go on to the main part of the meeting and item number 8, leisure facilities and playing pitch strategy. And this will be introduced by Councillor Fulsham. So I'll leave it to you, Councillor Fulsham.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to introduce the Vale Whitehorse Leisure Facilities Assessment and Strategy, LFAS, and Playing Pitch Strategy, PPS, to Cabinet today, and hope you will agree with the Officer's recommendation to adopt these strategies. These strategies are the result of a joint commission with South Oxfordshire and provide a consistent approach to sport and leisure provision in our districts. Each district has its own separate strategies for both leisure facilities and playing pitches, with a consistent cross-boundary approach to the provision in the Didcot area. They form a key part of the evidence base for the joint local plan and provide a strategic framework to direct funds for enhancing existing or building new facilities. Those strategies are a high-level assessment of the key sports and leisure needs for the district, providing us with an idea of the need for such facilities and broadly where that need could be met. At this strategic district-wide level, such a strategy can only be a snapshot in time, as sports and leisure provision will need to respond to local circumstances, such as the setting up or dissolution of new clubs or the opening or closing of privately run facilities. Just heard. This is entirely consistent with the approach set out in Sport England's guidance and methodology for these strategies. The strategies make recommendations for leisure facilities and playing pitches across 3 broad categories. Protect, recognising that a key facility that needs to remain in place to ensure we have sufficient coverage for that sport or activity. Enhance, where an existing facility needs to offer higher quality or higher capacity to ensure sufficient coverage. And finally, provide, where new facilities are needed. To be clear, these recommendations set the ambition and direction of travel, but do not provide an acceptance that the Council will undertake to provide every action mentioned within it. That will require further and more detailed works in an action plan during the strategy period. Work began on these when we commissioned Stuart Todd Associates to prepare these strategies in autumn 2022. It started with a detailed audit of our existing leisure facilities and pitches, including both desktop assessments and site visits, as well as sending questionnaires to sports clubs, pitch and facility owners and operators. The main strategies before you today do not detail the results of this audit, as each one is several hundred pages long. However, these audit reports were originally made available as part of a consultation in March and April, and will be published on the Council's website as supporting evidence after adoption of the strategies. Throughout the process, the consultants have reported to and engaged with a technical steering group, including council officers, local, regional and national sports bodies like Sports England. Alongside this, the officers and consultant team have kept councillors engaged through a joint local plan member steering group. We implemented a voluntary public consultation on these strategies between March and April earlier this year, with over 140 responses from a variety of respondents, including sports clubs, sports participants, developers, and town and parish councils. And officers have set out the response to the consultation and how they've been addressed in Appendix 4 of the reports pack today. The Scrutiny Committee considered these strategies on the 4th of November 2024, and officers invited members to provide comments. Officers have set out responses to those comments in Appendix 7, page 430 of the reports pack. The key issues identified and changes were made, including updated references to the funding and delivery arrangements for the skate park and pavilion at William Memorial Playing Field in Botley, and provided further information on the closure of the swimming pool at Harcourt Hill, added in reference to the existing mugger at East Challow in the audit reports, updated references to the new climate change and net zero commitments of the council. If Cabinet agrees to adopt these strategies, they will both move forward to a delivery stage known as the action plan. This is where we will build on the recommendations and strategies to create specific projects. There will be regular monitoring, evaluation and progress reviews of the action plan. And this is very much where I hope to see leisure facilities in Grove, as our visitors outlined, brought forward, and indeed the leisure provision in Botley. There will be regular monitoring, evaluation and progress reviews of action plans. I'm happy to assist Cabinet members with any queries or points of clarification they may have regarding the reports. I'd also like to propose to the Cabinet, as outlined, that we adopt those strategies. I'm also happy if Chair wishes to respond to the scrutiny recommendations and comments.
Yes, please.
Let's take some breath and go into those. Scrutiny Committee raised the conceptual issue about the 20-minute drive and concern with that this clashed with our commitments on active travel, and suggested that we lobbied Sport England. And we do appreciate that concern, and I accept that it's a challenge that not just one faced by this council, but across the country. And we're very much beholden to the model that Sport England have provided and provide us to use. Scrutiny was also concerned how we intend to keep everyone updated and track changes and visibility to scrutiny of the infrastructure development plan and action plan. And here, once adopted, the officers will meet with the relevant portfolio holders to discuss the governance arrangements and resourcing of the action plan. The action plan and the IDP are, of course, very much living documents that reflect changes that are brought forward and how quickly they're being implemented. And this will include how the feedback is brought to us on progress on the action plan, the delivery of the strategy. And scrutiny also requested that facilities updates raised by public speakers, including our friends from Grove and from Botley, provided to Cabinet, and those are in Appendix 7 of the report we've got today. We were also asked to review the process for data gathering and inclusion of local members in future reviews, and I would note that members have been invited to participate in the data gathering and the public consultation stages of the strategy, and had oversight through the Joint Local Plan Steering Group. And slightly wider issue, the Scrutiny Committee would like to have seen an estimate in the community user agreements to be achieved in the action plan. And that's very much, refers back to my earlier answer on how the IDP and action plan are living documents and will report back through portfolio holders and back through the democratic process. Happy to take any questions. I know we do have officers online who may be filling the gaps, and we will take that a very comprehensive report was in the pack.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Councillor Bonsham. I am very conscious because we have got members of the public here. I just want to just unpack it a bit, and with greatest respect to you, do have the CEO right next to me, and I know there are officers on mine, so I was just going to direct. You say snapshot, so that's almost like a census, and we're doing a census
Point in time.
yeah, a point in time. So it is like a census, and that's where we. And I was just wanting to find out more about, for want of a better word, sort of like the review process and action planning.
So the action plan will have more detail in.
Mhm.
Officers are confident that the footnotes within the report and the areas Andy's already covered are more than enough to address the points being raised, and do not believe that it would be appropriate to update the document further because of its point in time nature. So the very strong view of officers is the document is suitable for you to approve and adopt. But it does not rule out addressing some of the concerns that I heard raised, particularly by the speaker online, because the process going forward can pick those up. I believe we've taken members through that in a more detailed level, but because of the timing of the document, we are confident it is suitable for you to approve and adopt in the format presented.
Thank you. I just, yeah, it's.
So that's what you were getting.
Yeah, it's basically.
It's not that we are unaware of the concerns raised.
Yeah. That's a comment.
So my understanding is we've got this time slice, and ultimately something could change the following day after that. It's a bit like your MOT, it's doing the same. This is the status at the time the examination was done. But this is a living document, and where changes occur, then the document actually is updated, or there are amendments made.
So you can amendments and going forward can actually be made through the action plan, because it is entirely possible that the document itself at a broad brush level doesn't change.
Sure.
And the difficulty with changes is some are very large and some are very small. But there are more than enough mechanisms, including via the action plan, and also members, for us to be able to keep it as a live document over a period of time going forward.
Yes,
So that makes
it's very much the action plan and the infrastructure, the delivery plan that changes and is updated. It's not the strategy. The
okay.
strategy shows where Sport England and national sports bodies hope for us to be at the end of 16 years. It's not recent changes as they take place.
So that makes me more comfortable. But I think the key, sorry, I said but there isn't a but in there. I think for me, the key bit is that this is, if I understand correctly, a high level assessment, but the most important bit of both of these documents is they are supporting evidence to the joint local plan.
But absolutely.
And for me, the joint local plan, and I think this is probably what it refers to in the risks, where it says we've become potentially at risk of development in areas that we, haven't, without the joint local plan. That is definitely the case. And this piece is, if you like, one of those supporting foundations, without which we are at risk of the joint local plan not being the evidence being that I keep forgetting what that phrase is.
So my understanding, if I can put words in your mouth, if I may.
Yeah, try. Yeah.
And colleagues would
Use eloquent words.
Very eloquently, what the member was asking was, is it necessary for a supporting document to enable the joint local plan to be found sound?
Yes, that's it. Found sound. Thank you. Yes.
If I could now revert to not being eloquent, just myself. These documents are part of the ongoing joint local plan process, subject to your approving them, and I'm talking in answer to your question in that context.
Thank you.
So they will go forward as part of the examination. That broad brush area that Andy was saying about that forward look to 15 years is part of being able to secure funding from development that hopefully would be approved within the joint local plan framework. So they are very important documents, not just for the heading that might apply. they're actually that long-term look. The actual detail and the funding arrangements are a different process that sit under them alongside the joint local plan as applications come in and development occurs.
So effectively there are wider implications to these two than just sport. I say that as a sportsman.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
The danger would be that without the LFAS and PPS, we'd be looking back at 10-plus-year-old strategies, and that wouldn't have been updated. Nobody would locally, regionally, or nationally on the 2011 census. We use the 2021 census for very good reason. It's that sort of evidence base. We wouldn't be without evidence, but we'd have seriously dated evidence that we couldn't rely on, and therefore there's a risk that developments would be in areas that didn't have sufficient provision.
We make ourselves open to challenge.
We do. We would.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there any further? I don't think I can take. No, I'm sorry. Any other comments from members?
So just for complete clarity, because you specifically mentioned the Botley issue, and I'm clear now that we can handle that going forward. I'm assuming the same logic applies to the issues that have been raised about Grove. But nothing that if we agree these reports today, by agreeing these reports, nothing stops us looking at the Grove situation and making decisions about what we consider to be appropriate provision there, presumably as long as they don't run completely counter to what's in the papers.
Although they were in essence two very, very different points.
Yeah.
The principle of what you say is correct. Yes.
Yeah, we're not closing anything down basically by agreeing these reports. They're just, as has been said, this is the situation as has been assessed at this time. That doesn't stop us or force us to make any particular decision.
Yeah, and as I say, the degree that adjustment is required would depend on the individual event.
Yeah.
So I'm not being evasive with the answer.
Yeah,
but some changes are very small, some are very, very significant, as you'll appreciate now.
Yeah.
In fact, if I can add a bit of further clarification, the modelling that was done by our consultants was based on a mathematical model presented to us by Sport England. It's Sport England own that model, and the consultants booked time on it, and that works out facilities available within a particular range of population centres. It doesn't actually go to, well, it's in this parish, it's in this town. It's entirely on distance. So it won't decide to the level of this pitch, this place. It says at the end of 15 years, we would expect this level of coverage across the district.
Thanks.
If officers online have anything further?
No. Just unique.
I know, but I'd just like to keep them.
It's actually more awkward for us when you do.
The Zoom meeting. So
Can I propose then? I'm happy to propose that we accept these recommendations.
yeah, I'm just getting okay. I was going to run through them. Just get so to remind us all of the recommendations. So it's the adoption of the leisure facilities assessment and strategy and playing pitch strategy recommendations. A, to review and adopt Vale of Whitehorse leisure facilities assessment and strategy, and B, to review and adopt the Vale of Whitehorse playing pitch strategy. So for completeness, I have read those recommendations out, and I believe Councillor Coleman is happy to propose those recommendations. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councillor Porter. Is everybody agreed on this?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks once again to the members of the public who have come to speak on this. And I will move on now to the next item number 9, which is the council tax base setting 25-26. Would you like to introduce?
Yeah, thank you. So because Councillor Crawford's not available, he would be obviously the ideal person to introduce this report. So bear with me if I don't know all the technical details, but we do have officers available to clarify any points that you may have. So before the council tax can be set by this council, a calculation has to be made of council tax base, which is an estimate of the taxable resources for the district as a whole and for each parish area. The council tax base for the district has to be notified to Oxfordshire County Council and Police Crime Commissioner, and each parish and town council is also notified of the figures for its area, obviously because they take their portion of the council tax. The tax base is essentially the total number of dwellings within the district after taking into account various discounts and exemptions. The final figure is expressed as Van D equivalents, and further details are within the body of the report that you've had a chance to read. Cabinet is recommended to approve a 2025 to 2026 tax base of £59,151.50 as detailed in Appendix A, and this reflects a 1.8% tax base increase when compared to last year. And I commend this report to colleagues.
Thank you. I would open the room to any discussion.
Just want to make a short point, not so much a question, but acknowledge that this is a highly technical calculation, and express my thanks to officers for completing it in good time, and to Councillor Coleman for picking up the package and running with it so well at short notice. So yeah, it's a big ask. Thank you.
What's that phrase? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Coleman. You picked up quite a lot in this meeting, so I do appreciate it. Yes, so I don't think there's much to be debated here, and so if no further discussion needs to be done, so I go straight to recommendations. The council tax base 25-26, the Cabinet recommends Council to approve the report of the Head of Finance for the calculation of the council tax base and the calculation of the tax base for each parish area for 25-26. B, agree that in accordance with local authorities calculation of tax base England Regulation 2012, the amount calculated by Vale and Whitehorse District Council as its council tax base for the year 25-26 be
£1,151.50.
Thank you. It was very small. And thank you very much. And C, agree that in accordance with the local authorities calculation of council tax base in Regulation 2012, the amount calculated by Vale of Whitehorse District Council as council tax base for the year 25-26 for each parish people, amount shown against the name of that parish in Appendix A of the report of the Head of Finance to Cabinet on the 29th of November 2024. I've created a rod for my own back because I read out the short ones. I know, but I feel as though I ought to. I did it for the first one, and I continue, at least for this meeting. So, do I have a proposer for those recommendations? Councillor Fulsham, seconder. Councillor Lagova, thank you. And all agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed, thank you very much. So we get straight on to item number 10. Also, stepping into the fray is Councillor Coleman to introduce this one.
I think somebody owes me a coffee at the end of this meeting.
I know, I was going to say that.
You went coffee. Okay, thank you. So the council tax reduction scheme, I'll refer to it as CTR from now, say my voice, takes the form of a discount on the council tax bill and has the effect of reducing council tax base. There is a statutory duty for the council to adopt its council tax reduction scheme by certain dates each year, and for us this is the 11th of March 2025. For 2025 to 2026, the council intends to continue to adopt the current CTR scheme, but with one minor amendment, one important minor amendment I think probably would add there, which is an administration change rather than the change to the scheme's qualifying criteria. It is proposed to extend the current administration backdating rules from 6 months to 12 months, where good cause can be demonstrated. As set out within the report, on rare occasions, the council handles cases from the most vulnerable, where a CTR claim has not been made promptly and they have not reached out to the council and or a third-party organisation, such as Citizens Advice Bureau or Age UK, for assistance within the current 6-month window. Only one recovery action has advanced. Only once recovery action advanced do they seek help, and it is then when much needed support can be provided. It is these few cases where the amendment to the current backdating rule will really assist. As reflected within the report, there is hardly any financial impact to the council as a result of this minor adjustment, yet the impact of the extra CTR that can be applied to the vulnerable taxpayers account would be significant for them. Cabinet is therefore recommended to approve the proposed backdating administration change set out in this report for the year 2025 to 2026 and onwards.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. I always welcome the items considering the council tax reduction scheme. I think it is an area where we can contribute a lot to those most vulnerable residents with, as you said, very little expenditure to ourselves. So I would open Councillor Fawcett.
Yeah, I agree with that that point. I think one of the things we always have to be very conscious of when we're making our budget, making decisions about council tax, is that council tax is a regressive tax, and the more that the government has pushed cost of local services onto the council tax, the more regressive it makes the tax system overall. And this is one of the small number of ways in which we can help compensate for that by being as generous as we can be within the rules to those who will struggle most to pay their council tax bill. And I think it's a good thing that we take we take the approach that we will do everything we can to help the people who are most likely to struggle. So I have a question based on this, and I do expect Mark to answer this in detail, not rely on officers. In the test table, paragraph 10.
Sorry, that's table 10.
Paragraph 10. Yeah. The first line says CTS caseload.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to check, is that the figure of the number of households that we're supporting, or the number of individuals that we're supporting? Households. So I know it's quite a significant proportion.
Actually, I didn't know the answer to that.
I think it was. Yeah, I had every confidence. I think it's worth noting that is actually quite a significant proportion of households in the district, and demonstrates that even in what is a relatively, we are lucky to live in a relatively wealthy part of the country, there's still lots of people who are really, really struggling. So I fully support.
Thank you. Yeah. And may I just sort of back to a meeting I went to earlier this week, which was the launch of the programme that is putting Oxfordshire into a marmot scheme. So we're making Oxfordshire a marmot place. I was invited as leader. Other leaders were there, and it's going to be a county-wide programme to address inequity and reducing and removing those barriers that have been put in place to level things out for our most vulnerable residents. And I think when I see this, and I discussed those issues earlier in the week, I'm glad that we're doing this. So thank you very much to all concerned. So if I can run through the recommendations. So Cabinet recommends to Council that for 25-26 financial year onwards, this Council continues to adopt the previous 24-25 council tax reduction scheme, but with the following amendment: A, to extend the period in which a new claim for CTR can be backdated from 6 months to 12 months where good cause has been demonstrated. Can I have a proposal?
I would like to propose it, but can I also say before, because I know I won't get the opportunity otherwise, but can I say thank you to the officers for putting
yes.
both these reports together? But more importantly, can I also thank the officers for the work that they do throughout the year? Because a lot of these things happen in the background, and we're not always aware of it. And I would, I'm not one to use exaggerating phrases very often, but this can be a lifesaver for some people.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely can. Yeah.
So yes, very happy to propose.
Thank you. And second.
Yeah.
Councillor Go. I'll go with Councillor Go. So, and we all agree. Agreed. Yes, and I would like to echo. I didn't specifically say thank you to officers on earlier items, but I hope that's taken as read. But thank you very much for putting together all the information for these reports. They are very detailed, and yeah, we very much appreciate the work. So on to item number 11. And I think this is actually one of your items.
It actually falls into my portfolio, so
Updating.
very happy to.
Yes, good. Updating the joint public health funerals policy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Chair. We don't want one. So our council, as all councils, has a legal duty to arrange all public health funerals where there are no surviving next of kin, or when the next of kin are unwilling or perhaps unable to take on the responsibility for arranging the deceased's funeral, or sometimes when they don't come forward when requested. This report seeks adoption of an updated version of the Council's joint public health funerals policy to bring it in line with current legislation. By updating this policy, the Council will be clear about the level of funeral that will be provided and the process officers will follow. It is important that we have a clear joint public health funerals policy in place to ensure we continue to provide dignified, simple, cost-effective funerals for all deceased. The production of the Council's updated joint public health funerals policy has been completed, and approval of adoption of this policy has been sought from Cabinet Day. I do commend it to you. I probably should say that there are very few cases, typically between 2 and 5 per year, where this does fall to the council. But for those people, and their families, this is really, really important, notwithstanding our legal requirement to ensure that there is funeral. So I recommend this report to you.
Thank you. Yes, so again, I'd like to echo that it is a significant function that we take, I think, very seriously with greatest respect to those that are affected. So I'm glad we're looking at that today, because I think we owe that to all our residents. Does anybody have any comments or questions on this one? Right. Again, I'd like to thank officers. So the recommendations that Cabinet A adopt the updated joint public health funerals policy, and we delegate to the head of the housing environment to make any minor changes to future versions of the policy in consultation with the Cabinet member for environmental services and waste. Do I have a proposer for this? Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Seconder. Councillor Gaver. And yes, all agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed, thank you.
I'm missing that there's a bonus policy or something for people who second the most things.
Keeping a tally.
See
I think I'll get a double shot of coffee at the end of this.
So this is so I'd like to highlight, I think officers have joined us for this item. No?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just joined because our manager said it'd be good for us to see what's going on, and I said I'll choose these ones because I'm involved.
Yes, well, so it's good to see you here. So item number 12 is Wantage Leisure Centre, saying it's phase 3B decapitalisation project item. And it is being introduced Is it being included by you?
It is being
I was
introduced.
gonna say.
Just stop out.
Just 2 minutes, and I'll tell you if I'm not playing anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, this does fall to Councillor Crawford's portfolio, but I am covering, and I have to say the technical detail of this may well be beyond me. However, we do have online Ben Wayman and also Andrew Busby, who can answer any technical questions that I cannot. So approval was given at Cabinet in March 2024 to enter a pre-construction service agreement for stage 1 of the, this is show my ignorance, I think it's pronounced Salix. Salix, however, Salix, thank you very much. Phase 3B, decarbonisation project for Wantage Leisure Centre. And stage 1 allowed officers to engage with the winning tender submission, Ash Construction Limited, to complete works up to the technical design known as River 4. Stage 1 has been successfully completed. A River Stage 4 cost plan has been supplied by Ash Construction Limited, which has been value engineered by Pellings LLP Quantity Surveyor as the council's consultants. The shortfall of budget sits at £1,144,504. Officers are requesting the drawdown of suitable Section 106 contributions secured in Wantage and surrounding areas, some of which were previously ring-fenced for the terminated Wessex Leisure Centre project, prioritising those with the shortest expiry time prioritising that the shortest expiry times are earmarked to be used. A note in a change for the report is that from the contributions shown by officers will delete 15B23 from Appendix 2. There's 2 lines there, and where these contributions have an end best before date, let's say of April 2027, and to confirm that the money will come from the B15B50 Crab Hill Section 106. The shortfall in budget can be attributed to 3 sections of the roof at Wantage Leisure Centre, which have been identified due to historical problems with leaks and condition survey. Conducting works now will protect warranties and avoid the need to remove the solar panels and other equipment in the immediate future. The gap in funding is hoped to be covered via the drawdown of suitable Section 106 contributions secured in Wantage and surrounding areas, prioritising those with the shortest expiry times, as I said here. Officers need to proceed with the contract award for the JCT design and build stage 2 to complete the project within the timelines agreed with the Salix grant, a grant of £4,616,022 in year 2, which cannot be rolled over and must be spent through evidenced invoices by the 31st of March next year. The only option to complete the project entirely is to agree to the Wantage Wessex Section 106 contributions to cover the shortfall of the current funding. The details are in the appendix. A reminder that the purpose of the delivery of this project is to support the council to accelerate the delivery of its decarbonisation programme, contributing to a reduction of approximately 25% in carbon emissions across the council's assets. The Cabinet then is asked to recommend to Council to create a budget of Section 106 contributions and release the funds for the capital expenditure at Wantage Leisure Centre Phase 3 decarbonisation project in accordance with 75C of the Council's financial procedure rules. And to also agree to recommend the Council approve the expenditure of over £100,000. To authorise the Head of Development and Corporate Landlord in consultation with the Head of Finance to allow approved budgets related to approved Cabinet spend of Section 106 funds and still contributions towards the Stage 2 project delivery, and to allow the additional budget from Section 106 funds to cover the current shortfall to complete the decarbonisation project at Wantage Leisure Centre. I commend this report to you.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Does anybody have any comments, questions about this one? Thank you, Councillor Foss.
Can I just, if I put it in what I think my understanding in simple terms, basically the cost is more than we originally expected because we've found a problem with the roof that needs fixing.
Yeah.
It's more cost effective to pay for the roof to be fixed as part of the project before we put solar panels on it, but we then have to take off later
Yes.
to fix it. And the money we're spending to do that is from developer contributions that were given towards sports facilities and the wanted from wider area. Yes, cool, I'm happy with that.
So I could have just said that, I suppose, at the beginning, and save reading all that.
Yeah, you sound more intelligent using the longer words, and I don't care whether I sound intelligent or not.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear that I knew what I was voting for in terms I understand.
Yeah, effectively, it's more cost effective to do the work
Yeah.
whilst we're already working on the
Yeah,
building,
that makes
rather
sense.
than revisit later on.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to I wanted to get further information potentially on the county contribution going forward. Is that something
Yeah,
we can explain?
with your agreement, Andrew Busby, are you online?
I am online. Yes, good morning, Cabinet, and good morning, Mark. So yes, so
If
the
I change
detail.
my plan.
So yeah, good morning, Cabinet. So in answer to the query about the OCC contribution, under the lease agreement with Wantage Leisure Centre, they are liable for 50% of the maintenance costs. Obviously, they haven't currently planned for this in their current budget this financial year, but we've written to them to make them aware of this pending costs, which will, again, as members have quite rightly pointed out, will have to be spent at a point in time in any case, and we'll be seeking appropriate documentation to make sure we can recover 50% of the outlaid capital for this element of the project. I hope that helps, Chair.
Yeah, it does. So those fine should county, and I very much hope that county would be contributing that 50%, then we can sort of bring that money back into our coffers. Is that my understanding? Is that correct? Yeah. And we will then be able to spend that money on different projects. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
I think there's another advantage of that the section 106 has as I described it, a best before date, whereas the money that would come back in would not have a best before date. So it does allow us a little bit more flexibility, but I think I'm right in saying we would still be using it for similar purposes. We can't pay for my car parks, for example.
So it's giving it a new lease of life, effectively. That funding.
Yeah. Notwithstanding the fact that we should get the money back anyway, because it's a shared facility, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Shared liability. Sorry.
Yes, I'm just making sure that is understood. So thank you, Andrew. Does anybody else have any further questions, particularly when Andrew's online? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Nick.
It's not a question for Andrew, he'll be grateful to know. But just a reminder for the record that we have several twin-hatted members here who will need to reflect on that and whether they need to make a declaration of that, depending on the impact upon their second role. So I'm just throwing that in there. If you do have one, it's just worth that being added to the minutes. You can do that now fairly quickly. Yeah. Sorry, I meant to mention at the beginning of the item, Chair, and that's my fault. I do apologise.
Yeah, and yes,
yeah, just for the record, I'm a county council and I'm the county council cabinet. I don't consider this as a major interest in that context.
And for the record, I'm a county councillor as well, but I am very much the lowest of the low there. So yeah, you can minute that lowest of the low. Is that okay, Nick?
Absolutely, thank you. It's just for completeness and to avoid others raising it as a challenge. Really, I accept the risks are low with what you and your colleague have just said. But thank you both.
Thank you. So, any further questions on that? I appreciate unpacking that and sort of getting a bit more clarity. Councillor Collins, do you have anything further to add?
No. Thank you.
So I wanted to thank officers for putting this forward and getting this report together. And again, the officers in the room who have been involved in this from the start. So thank you very much. It's a great move forward for our leisure centres and our properties and getting our climate targets to where they need to be. So we really do appreciate it. I think the long ones, aren't they? I'm not going to get. Oh no, I will. For completeness, because I'm a bit OCD like that. Okay. So the recommendations, and I noted that in my version of the report, there's like unusual numbering system, so we'll fix that. So recommendations: A, to recommend to council to create a budget from S106 contributions and to release the funds for the capital expenditure at Wantage Leisure Centre Phase 3B decarbonisation project in accordance with 75C of the council's financial procedure rules. B, agreed to recommend that council approve the expenditure of over £100,000. C, to authorise the head of development and corporate landlord in consultation with the head of finance to allow approved budgets related to approved cabinet spend of S106 funds and still contributions towards the stage 2 project delivery. And D, to authorise the head of development and corporate landlord in consultation with the head of finance to allow the additional budget from S106 funds to cover the current shortfall to complete the decarbonisation project at Wantage Leisure Centre. So if I can have a proposer for that, Councillor Coleman, definitely winning in the proposal. And seconder, Councillor Tolson.
Is that too old? So?
It's winning.
And we all agreed. Thank you very much. So now we're on to item number 30, and I believe Councillor Gova has a chance.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's another item from Councillor Coleman's portfolio, and actually I introduced it with great pleasure because we just had plain beach strategy as our item number 8. So I introduced in Drayton's sports pitch and cricket wicket. Full details of the project and funding sources set in the cabinet report, which you have in front of you today. So the Drayton Parish Neighbourhood Plan, which was adopted in July 2015, identified desire for new sports facility within the parish. Vale of Whitehorse secured developer contributions for approximately 1 million as a part of planning permissions for 298 dwellings in Drayton Parish towards the provision of sport facilities and football pitches. One of the developments, known as Walnut Meadow, also includes land transfer to Drayton Parish Council with space for sport pitches, a pavilion, and multi-use games area. For the first phase, Drayton Parish Council proposed to create the sports pitches, and this application will be the first of the series, which will eventually see Walnut Meadow as a modern sporting venue, fully owned and operated and maintained by Drayton Parish Council. The Parish Council applied for Section 106 funding for the amount to £278,860 received from a development in the parish towards the provision of football pitches in Drayton, and cabinet recommendation to council to approve the use of this funding. Actually, that's what we are seeking today. Should this funding be approved, then legal agreement will be put in place to govern the release of these funds, to limit the liability to the council, and also allow us to oversight the delivery of the project. So assuming we all agree to the recommendation, then just this item will go to the council meeting on the 18th of December to request this budget to be created and funding award approved. So we have officers with us, Mark Hewer and Dave Foxon, just who will be happy to answer any questions regarding this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you said, it is timely when we considered we've considered the playing pitch and leisure facilities strategy already today. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this item?
Yeah, I'd be very happy to second this item, this proposal. Obviously, Drayton, some of you will know Drayton is a rapidly growing village, really growing from quite a small village to being quite a sizable one at a rapid rate of knots, along with many other villages in the area. And it is at the moment, it has, traditionally has the facilities of a very small village. These were very welcome, and they also happen to be just over the border from my ward in Abingdon, and it will be widely used by local residents. So this is good, and it's good that we are continuing to make sure that Section 106 contributions are used at a more rapid rate than they have been in periods in the past, which is a good thing because the houses are being built and we should be providing the infrastructure with them.
Yes, that's very true. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. As was said, this is so timely to see this as a clear example of why leisure facilities and playing pitch strategies are needed to reflect how our communities are growing and changing over time. It's a clear example of how it's funded through developer contributions. I'm sure the timings at the top of page 464, I'm sure that one's a typo because I don't think we have received stuff in 2028 yet, but I'm sure officers will get what it makes out on that one.
We're ahead of the game, our officers.
Yeah, but I know it will be a well used facility. I know it's very much wanted by the parish there, and I'm delighted to see it coming through.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson. And I think both of you together have sort of highlighted what we were talking about earlier, that it's not having a facility in one village or area is not sort of exclusively setting aside that facility for that area. It is about the need over a greater area and the use over a greater area. So Councillor Fawcett said that he will not actually be playing cricket himself, but I'm sure people he knows might speak of his I don't know, I shouldn't comment. So he might. I'm sorry. Dug myself into a hole now.
Only the English could have invented cricket.
Would you like that?
Anyway, that was my point, that it's not each of these facilities is not in a back. It's like yeah. I'll stop now. Any further questions or no, so long recommendation. That a cabinet recommends to council a budget is created for £278,860 towards sports pitches and cricket wicket at Walnut Meadow, Drayton, from the Section 106 contribution set out in this report, subject to council creating the above budget. B, to authorise the head of finance in consultation with the head of legal and democratic to agree and enter into a funding agreement with Drayton Parish Council regarding the terms of use of the S106 funding, the instalments in which the funding is paid, the timing of instalments, the conditions subject to which instalments are paid, and to otherwise protect the interests of Vale Whitehorse District Council as the provider of the funding by undertaking legal and financial due diligence, including being satisfied that the funding is lawful and compliant with subsidy control provision, and to approve the payment to Drayton Parish Council of up to £278,860 towards sports pitches and a cricket wicket at Walnut Meadow, Drayton, subject to and in accordance with the funding agreement. So if I can have a proposer.
I propose.
And a seconder.
Well, it'd be bad to do.
Yes, I know. It would be bad if somebody trumped you on that. And everybody in agreement.
Agree.
Thank you. So item number 14, and this is where I'm just drawing attention that we can go into confidential session to discuss the appendix. Yes. So the item following this will be a confidential session as well. So just to let you know that that's the structure going forward. So item number 14, the waste transfer station contract award, and I believe that's being introduced by Councillor Coleman.
It is.
It's
Colleagues will know how much I like talking rubbish, so the waste transfer station. As the chair has pointed out, there's been a slight change to the report that you had previously had visibility in that the name of the contract has been removed from the public version. So I'm content that we can talk about this. If we wish to go into the more detail of that contract, we will have to. Well, sorry, we have to consider going into confidential session. So please, no mention of names of bidders. So our council has a statutory duty to collect waste and recycling. The fleet of waste collection vehicles delivers garden waste, food waste, and non-recyclable waste to drop-off locations provided under contract by Oxfordshire County Council. Just seen. No,
it's fine. He's just
okay. But I thought I was in trouble already. For the dry mix recycling, the plastic, metal, glass, and paper card collected from green bins goes to a special facility that can separate this material out, then select it for reuse. These facilities are called material recovery facilities, or MRFs, but there are no MRFs in the district or in Oxfordshire which the vehicles can transport the material to directly. Instead, the most cost-effective and the most environmental sensitive way of getting the recycling to the MRF is to transfer it from one collection vehicle, from the collection vehicles, onto heavy goods vehicles using a bulking and transfer facility. The current transfer facility is at the Cullen depot, which in the coming years is scheduled to close for redevelopment. With the depot moving to a new location, but being unable to accommodate a transfer facility, the council would be unable to transfer dry mix recycling to the MRF. Therefore, a procurement exercise has been completed and the company identified that can offer a new transfer facility within the area. This essential piece of waste and resource infrastructure can be operational by June 2026, which aligns with the end of our waste contract. This report asks the Cabinet reviews and accepts the bid received, which will allow officers to complete the contractual arrangements. Officers are in attendance, so we have Scott Williams and also Paul Fielding for any technical questions that I can't answer. But before I cede, I would like to thank the officers for the work in progressing this crucial element of our waste collection. It's important that we maintain the statutory waste and recycling collection services as we transition from the current to the new arrangements in 2026. Accepting the contract for the new transfer facility, which is in a central location and available at a fair price, will support a seamless service transition. I commend this paper to them.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. I'd ask for questions and comments, but also noting the confidential nature of some of this report. So please note that. But if anybody has any comments on this section, would anybody? Should I ask the question? Would anybody like to discuss anything in the confidential appendix? No. No comments on this.
I mean, to me, it's very straightforward, and it was a very good and simple explanation. Thank you, Councillor Coleman.
Well done.
I'm good at simple.
And thankfully, if we agree and want to go to recommendations, it's quite a short recommendation as well, so I'm liking. So waste transfer station contract award recommendation A and only A, that Cabinet approves the award of the contract for a new transfer station facility to handle the council's dry mix recycling to the preferred bidder. The contract would run for a minimum of 5 years, starting in June 2026. Can I have a proposer? And seconder? The full and everyone agreed. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we're on to item 15, which is going to the wording.
You go.
Oh, it's at the top.
Yeah. It's within the agenda.
Thank you. find it. So item number 15 is the exclusion of the public, including the press. And this is, I have to read the wording out, and that's to go straight into item number 17 and 18 in the main. So exclusion of the public, including the press, to consider whether to exclude members of the press and public from the meeting for the following items of business that under section 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended on the grounds that 1, it is likely that there will be disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of Schedule 12A, and 2, the public interest is maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. Do I read
I
that?
don't think you need to read that.
No. So, do we have a proposer for that? I'm proposing. Second. Thank you.
So I get my coffee.
And everybody agreed. Fabulous, thank you. So now that we've done that, we are going